Hello there! Welcome to the first of what I hope to be many lore videos. Today, we will be travelling to the 31st millennium and enter the universe of Warhammer 40k. Literally, the worst possible future for everyone and anyone. No, really, this really is. You don't want this to be the future. Although it does make some amazing and fascinating stories. Now, because I don't want to make these videos too convoluted and hopefully keep them as streamlined as possible, I'm going to break up these into chunks. So rather than tell you everything about Warhammer 40k in one video, this is going to be a general overview of the main factions you play on the tabletop. Just to give you an idea of what each one is about, whet your appetite and hopefully make you interested to hear more about them. I will do more specific faction and history videos in the future, but these will be more focused, and I'll hopefully make it more easy to listen to, especially for those of you who are new to the hobby, as there is a lot of information and I personally know how hard it is to retain this all inside your head, so I'm hoping this will prevent you from spending hours digging through books or looking things up online, unless of course it's for your own pleasure. And hopefully it will make entertaining listening whilst you're painting, driving, or whatever else you may be doing at the time. And with that out of the way, let us begin. In Warhammer 40k, there are, broadly speaking, three main groups battling for control of the universe, each with many factions within them, and it has with their own goals and identities. They are the Imperium, the Xenos, and Chaos. Broadly speaking. Let us start close to home with the Imperium of Man, and possibly its most famous defenders, the dudes who are on almost every single poster for this game, the Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death. Created by the Emperor of Mankind, these genetically enhanced super soldiers are the most elite fighting force in the galaxy. Well, the Adeptus Custodes are arguably more elite than the Space Marines, but the Space Marines are by far more numerous than the Adeptus Custodes. Organised into chapters, each typically numbering 1,000 Marines, and all with their own specialities and tactics in war. They have each got their own illustrious histories, and they are the elite specialised fighting forces. You don't tend to call these guys if you want to save an entire world, although 1,000 Space Marines could. It's just that they're so busy all across the galaxy that you're not likely to get that many unless there's a truly terrifying threat coming your way. Next, we have the Imperial Guard, or the Astra Militarum if you're feeling posh. If Space Marines are like a spear thrust, precise, devastating, potentially war-ending if used correctly, the Imperial Guard are a hammer blow. They are brutal, they have a lot of guns and tanks, plenty of men and women who get thrown into the meat grinder, and hopefully they choke whatever it is coming their way. But in all seriousness, it is the bravery and determination of the humble guardsman who holds back the majority of the galaxy's horrors for the Imperium, with nothing but a fancy laser gun and basic armour, which really won't stop much. It really sucks to be an Imperial Guardsman, although as I get to talk more about the universe, it's actually better to be an Imperial Guardsman than an average citizen. Yeah, it's better to be fighting unimaginable horrors like demons and orcs and Eldar than to work in a factory in 40k. Yeah. Slightly higher than them, you have the Tempesta Saiyans. Think of them as the Royal Marines or Navy SEALs of the future. They are better equipped, better armed, and they typically have a more fancy gun. And hell, this gun could actually do damage on a good day. Yay, good for them. The Adeptus Mechanicus are the keepers of ancient technologies and priests of the cult of the machine god of Mars. They are the Imperium's IT support. Just don't expect them to get anything fixed quickly. as even in 40k, changing a light bulb for them is potentially an hour-long process full of prayers, holy oils, and incense. Minus the incense, it sounds like a lot of IT. It takes forever for anything to get done. But in 40k, there is a religious aspect to this. The Grey Knights are a specialized Astartes force created for the sole purpose of killing demons. Yes, demons. And I promise I'll get into them soon. Then you have the Sisters of Battle, warrior nuns who are blessed by the Emperor with an extreme faith, zeal, and toughness that make even Space Marines a little jealous. The Adeptus Custodes, the Emperor's personal guard, and the most elite fighting force the Imperium has. These guys, if a Space Marine can kill 100 men unarmed, an Adeptus Custodes is better than that. I don't think there's an actual number quoted in 40k. I could be wrong. But an Adeptus Custodes could probably beat 10 Space Marines unarmed. They are that ridiculously, crazily skilled, powerful, and tough. The Imperial Knights are pilots of big walking machines, typically run by a feudal-style caste, who, with tank-level weaponry combined with speed, agility, and toughness, are a very undesirable foe at the best of times. If you've ever watched animes like Gundam Wing, or anything with mech suits, it's a bit like that. You don't really want to fight these things if you really have a choice. Now, time for some aliens. The alien factions, or Xenos as they're called in 40k, are a varied and unique bunch, each with their own agendas and goals for the galaxy, and most of them tend to involve wiping out humanity in one way or another, or at the very least, putting humanity down a peg or two. Let's start with the Eldar. These guys are elf-like beings who once dominated the galaxy, but due to pride, ignorance, and arrogance, and a cosmic level accident where they created a demon of not a demon, a god of excess, violence, and lust. The explosion that the birth of this creature created almost wiped out their race. But I will get into that in their own faction video. Since this tragedy, the Eldar have split into 3 distinctive groups. The Eldar who survived this accident and went, we don't want that to happen again, and they chose to protect themselves from this chaos god by using strict mental disciplines and fancy soul-storing stones. The Drukhari, or Dark Eldar, ones who literally did not care about this new demonic entity that was trying to eat away at their souls, and chose to enjoy living their lives as sadistic and hedonistic killers. The Harlequins, or servants of the Laughing God, who have a habit of telling you a bad joke while stabbing you in the face. And recently, the Yunari, followers of the recently born God of Death, and quite possibly the Eldar's last best hope for their race. But this is 40k, so, yeah, fingers crossed, eh? You never know, it might turn out okay for them. Maybe. Perhaps. On to something a bit different, a bit more brutal, a bit more green. The Orcs, a brutal and barbaric faction of green-skinned Xenos who thrive on war and grow stronger the more they fight. They live in a tribal-like society where might makes right, and a blunt belief in your own immortality makes you, as they might say, the best. I love these guys. They are comedic, horrific, brutal, and just a ton of fun, both for their lore and also just to play on the tabletop. But if you're not really into orcs and their brutal level of technology, how about something a little bit more sophisticated, eh? The Tau, a technologically progressive and dynamic race with advanced mechanical constructs called battlesuits. They have gathered other races to them under their ideology called the Greater Good, communism. And on the surface, this seems nice, almost idealistic, and it's a progressive society in a very backward galaxy. Until you look a bit closer and you see the darker, sinister parts underneath. The Tyranids, a vast swarm bent on devouring the galaxy and feeding on all they can find. They use bioweapons and an incredible ability to adapt and evolve to overcome their foes. Great tendrils or hive fleets swim through the galaxy, looking for food. Utterly alien, you cannot reason with them, bribe, threaten, or control. They are predators and see everything else as prey. The Gene Stealer cults are humans who have become infected by a Tyranid creature called a Gene Stealer, and now serve its will to bring down entire worlds from within. So, terrorists, basically. Mind-altered and controlled terrorists. They are capable of incredibly... They are capable of stopping a planet from being able to fight back from Tyranid hive fleets, and once this is achieved, they get eaten as well. So yeah, they get what they were worshipping and hoping for, I guess. So I guess someone wins. The last Xeno race we will be looking at is the Necron. Once, flesh and blood like everyone else, they were a race who suffered from debilitating diseases, from radiation poisoning from their planet, and were looking for a way out. Unfortunately, the entity they asked for help from turned out to be a vampiric star god who decided, sure, I will help you, and made them disease-free forever inside metal soulless bodies. Mostly asleep in what are called tomb worlds, they only awake at certain times, and they are a technologically advanced and devastating foe. Those wonderful green guns that you can see, the way they work is that they remove every atom from your body, layer by layer. It is a horrific gun, and there are just bigger and more powerful versions of the same gun. The Necrons are almost mindless, although some of them do still have their own personality. But they are not an enemy you want to fight. And finally, Chaos. Chaos. All of these races and groups that I've talked about so far are in one way or another violent, dangerous, but are nothing compared to Chaos. Whilst getting eaten by a Tyranid is horrific, it is brief. Whilst getting captured by a Drukhari is worse, as they will torture you for the rest of your life, and they can keep you alive for a very, very long time. At least eventually you will die. But Chaos and the masters that they serve will torture your soul forever, or just eat your soul. Because in Warhammer 40k, even the afterlife can bring you no peace. And if Chaos won, if Chaos defeats the Imperium and all the other races, it would tear the fabric of reality apart. Chaos is served by several factions with both numerous cults, traitors, and corrupted space marines. These Chaos Marines are Adeptus Astartes who, for one reason or another, have become twisted and warped by the Chaos Gods into a mocking parody of their more noble cousins, bent on causing death and destruction across the galaxy to be noticed and gain power from their chosen god. These guys are terrifying. But not quite as terrifying as the next thing I'm about to tell you. Chaos Demons. Yes, demons. Although not quite as straightforward as you may think. These aren't quite the same as the Christian Catholic idea of what a demon is. These warp entities are manifestations of the four greatest chaos powers: an alternate dimension, where thoughts, hopes, fears, and dreams can not only become real, but they try to kill you. Or they try to persuade you to do what they want to gain more power. The greatest chaos gods in the warp are Khorne, the god of bloodshed, murder, and violence; Tzeentch, the god of change and magic; Nurgle, the god of decay and disease; and Slaanesh, the one I mentioned earlier, who basically was responsible for wiping out most of the Eldar race with its birth. Slaanesh is the god of excess, violence, and pleasure. Each one of these chaos gods is different, and in both their appearance, their temperament, and the power that they're able to consume, and the power that they use to become created. And technically, the Emperor of Mankind could be considered a chaos god, but we will discuss that another time, as I realise I'm getting off the topic. And finally, Chaos Knights. Much like their Imperial counterparts, these are corrupted versions of what they once were. They are not noble, they are not chivalric, they are cruel, they are dark and twisted, and they seek only for violence for their own satisfaction. And when you're in a walking mini Titan, you can do more or less whatever you like, and it's very hard to stop you. They tend to follow chaos warbands, or cults are built up around them, although there are renegade knights that just wander off by themselves, causing all kinds of havoc. These are... they're not pleasant. They are not pleasant at all. Sorry for some of that audio slip-up. This is my first time, and I'm still getting used to learning how to record my voice. I'm not a very technologically minded person, so this is all quite new to me at the moment. Hopefully, this video will give you all a flavour for each of the factions in the universe. As I said, I will go into greater detail in each one individually. If you're keen to suggest which one you would like to hear about first, please make a comment below. Never know, the highest one might be the one I tend to go with. If you enjoyed my work, please like and subscribe. It really helps. Please leave a comment, as I can only get better, and I hope to be able to devote as much time as I can to this whilst doing, normal life stuff like getting a job, having a job, and all that kind of thing. And if you really enjoy my work, although obviously it's early days, so I don't expect anyone to do this, have a look at the Patreon page, and the more I'm able to do would be fantastic. I'd love to be able to do this more often. And it'll also make doing the narrative campaigns that I really want to get into easier. But for now, I think the lore videos will at least help people have an overview of the worlds that I will be telling my stories in. And that was the reason why I decided to do lore videos first. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.